I moved house this week, so I'm a little disorientated and not quite sure where my headspace is, but in the light of the events yesterday that happened in Oxford Street, where a group of young Jewish people were celebrating Hanukkah and were mocked and attacked by a group of young men on the street. Rabbi Rachel Benjamin very kindly sent me an account of what's called the Christian Menorahs, how Billings, Montana defended Hanukkah in 1993. And so I hope you'll forgive me if I read this to you. It's not very long, but I think it's a lesson in many ways for the kind of society that we would like to be, as you'll see at the end. So here's the background. In 1993, in the town of Billings in Montana, in the United States, there was a wave of hate crimes by the Ku Klux Klan and the white supremacist Aryan nations. These included marching into an Afro-American church, spray painting swastikas on the home of a Native American, overturning gravestones in a Jewish cemetery, and finally throwing rocks through windows displaying a Hanukkah menorah, Chanukiah. The turning point was the town's decision to fight back, and the symbol of the struggle for religious, racial, and ethnic freedom was appropriately the display of a menorah by over 10,000 Jewish residents among 85,000 citizens. This is how it all began. In December 1993, in Billings, Montana, Isaac Schnitzer, a 6-year-old Jewish boy whose family was one of the few Jewish families in the town, decorated his window with a colorful paper Hanukkah menorah. The next day when they left home, the family experienced some trouble from a group of local people taunting them and saying unkind things. Isaac didn't understand what it was all about. His parents explained to him, sometimes people cause trouble for those who are different from them. People hate minorities, including Jews. Isaac replied, "You mean they said those things because we're Jewish?" The police assured the Schnitzers that they would do their best to protect them, but suggested that perhaps they should remove their menorah from the window in order not to invite further problems. However, Isaac's mother, Tammy, refused to lower her profile to hide her Judaism. She told her son, "We'll keep up our Hanukkah decorations and we will not hide." Then she called the press and asked them, "Please make this front page news because I want people to understand what it's like to be Jewish." The Schnitzers discovered that Jewish people were not the only people who had experienced problems, that there had also been racist behavior towards others in the area, and they also discovered that many in the community would be supportive of its minorities. When the African American church was harassed, tens of people came to the church to show their support. The Reverend reported, "They rallied round and let the bigots know, hey, if you bite one, you bite us all." And that was a very good feeling we had. When a Native American's home was spray painted with graffiti, 30 painters from the local union turned out to repaint it. The head of the local human rights organization said, "If they want me to be silent, then that's just not going to happen." When the activists met to decide how to respond, someone recalled The legend of the Danish king, I don't know if it is a legend actually, or whether it was true, during the Nazi occupation of Denmark. The story goes that when the Nazis required every Nazi Jew to wear a yellow star, the king and many other Danes chose to wear one as well. Christian and Jewish citizens should not be forcibly distinguished and their solidarity undermined. Later on Rosh Hashanah, as the Nazis planned their surprise arrest and deportation of Danish Jews, the Danish underground preempted them by spiriting away thousands across the sea to neutral Sweden. The Holocaust story reminded everyone about the danger of silently giving in to violent prejudice. One of the women in the town, Margaret MacDonald, tried to imagine explaining to her children that they couldn't have a Christmas tree in the window or a wreath on the door because it wasn't safe. She phoned her pastor and asked what he thought of having Sunday school children make paper cutout menorahs for their own windows. He got on the phone to his clergy colleagues around town, and the following week, menorahs appeared in the windows of hundreds of homes in Billings. That was a small act of courage, but a big expression of brotherhood and sisterhood. Asked about the danger of this action, Police Chief Wayne Inman told callers, "There's greater risk in not doing it." 5 days after the Schnitzers had experienced trouble after putting their menorah up in the window, the Gazette published a full-page drawing of a menorah, along with a general invitation to put it up. By the end of the week, at least 6,000 homes, maybe even as many as 10,000, were decorated with menorahs. The hate organizations continued to cause trouble wherever they saw the newly decorated Hanukkah windows, such as the one in the Methodist Church. Nevertheless, thousands of residents kept their menorahs up, and the problems decreased markedly because ordinary citizens put themselves on the front line against hate and intolerance. The people of Billings continued in their efforts to support one another against hate crimes. During Pesach, the following spring, 250 Christians joined their Jewish brothers and sisters in a traditional Seder meal for Pesach. New friendships were formed, new traditions started, and greater mutual understanding and respect achieved. Hanukkah really did become a celebration of freedom, because that year and the following years, the people of Billings said no to intolerance and affirmed their commitment to peace and religious tolerance publicly in their windows, in solidarity with their Jewish neighbors. So my thanks to Rabbi Rachel Benjamin for sharing that story with me. And at the end of the service, you'll see some photographs of our annual multi-faith Hanukkah celebration from yesterday, which really and truly was a celebration of all faiths and people of no faiths coming together to experience this festival of light. We need to make sure that our voices are heard more loudly than voices of intolerance and hatred.